Assalamu alaikum. Hello, welcome. Christopher James again from Oryx Consulting. Welcome back to Oryx Talks. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to actually talk about ourselves. We just realised that it probably should have been one of the first videos that we have done. So anyway, let's get into it.
Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Just start out by telling us about Oryx Consulting, just an overview.
Okay, overview. We are a equipment consulting firm is the best way of describing who we are. We have a motto of helping clients build a better project. What we mean by that is we want to assist our customers to build faster projects that leave more money in their back pocket. We do this by adding value with machinery, and in particular the right machinery or the right tools for the job. We also help the customers with the methodology of doing some of their work. Now there's a lot of people who know a lot more in their respected fields. This isn't what we're talking about. We like to help people pull their project and their project teams together to get everyone on the same page and go back to the basics, which is how I learned how to do some of the work when I was a young fella from some of the old mentors that I have, and I still have to this day. So in a whole, we are an equipment consulting firm that help companies build faster projects, leaving more money in their back pocket. That's what we do.
What is your background personally?
Okay, I started life as a diesel mechanic with Caterpillar. I started a diesel mechanic apprenticeship in Brisbane, Australia with Hastings Deering, which was the Caterpillar agents there for, we looked after Queensland, Northern Territory, Papua New Guinea, and I think it was Solomon Islands as well. Great apprenticeship, couldn't have asked for anything better. It was very technical to get in, had to pass some exams and a few other things, but wonderful start to my career. Learnt a lot there, but what I learnt there was actually the Caterpillar way, or what we like to call the yellow injection. You could not do anything that wasn't by the book. Everything had to be by the book. When I was a third year apprentice, I did a lot of work in field service, and I loved field service. It was fantastic for me to get out into the field and learn how things really work and use your brain to fix complex problems sometimes. During my third year, the company Hastings Deering had they supplied all the lease equipment to a pipeline contracting company that were building a very large pipeline in Queensland, about, I think from memory it was 860 kilometres, something like that, pipeline. We supplied all of the graders, the bulldozers, the excavators, the general earthwork equipment. They were looking for a night shift greaser, TA was the technical term. Basically that was a night shift serviceman offsider. I could not have started in pipelines any lower in the food chain on the maintenance side at all. What I did, I serviced machines, Caterpillar machines, Caterpillar engines, heavy vehicles, all sorts of different things. Anything on pipeline related, I serviced and maintained on a night shift. It was the best job that I've ever had at the time. I fell in love with pipelines almost immediately. They were difficult. It was difficult being away from family and friends when you first get out into them, but I thoroughly enjoyed the opportunity to travel, and that's where I found my love of machinery and my love of travel. By the time you got bored with the place, it was time to move to the next town. Every cycle we did 1 month on and we had 1 week off. So every cycle they moved the camp. So sometimes that would be 150 kilometres, and sometimes that would be 250 kilometres in 1 month with the production that we were doing. I stayed with pipelines for the next 2 years, working with different contractors. Then I realised I didn't have much experience on heavy trucks, heavy transport. I came back to the city. I started with a company called Brisbane Isuzu trucks, recognised all over the world. I was only there for about 2 months before I got pulled, for want of a better word, into a wonderful program that they were doing, which converted diesel trucks to run on natural gas. It was the late 90s, pretty high tech in the days for back then compared to what we have now. That was fantastic. The biggest issue that I had, it was absolutely wonderful, but there was no real money incentive for the amount of work and effort and engineering that we put into this project. So at my age back then, early 20s, I wanted money. I wanted adventure, I wanted travel, so I went back into pipelines, and that's where I've stayed ever since. I worked all over Australia. I worked over in the Middle East. I worked in Southeast Asia. That was all for pipeline companies. And I worked all the way up to the equipment manager for some of the largest pipeline companies in the Asia Pacific region. Wonderful opportunity, absolutely adored everything that I did. And I got to the point where I got bored. I needed another challenge. I needed something new in my life. They could pretty much dump me anywhere in the world. I could set up the pipeline projects, put everything that I needed in place, and once it was running, there was no real challenge there. Okay, occasionally you get a challenge every now and then, but it got boring. So 2008, I started my own business. We provided all the maintenance support and the logistics support for pipelines within Australia. Part of what I did with this business was helping clients find the right equipment. I travelled all over the world. It was absolutely fantastic. I've had the opportunity to visit 36 different countries now, just looking at machinery, as well as some of the countries that I worked in as well. It opened my mind to the lack of people doing what we do with inspecting equipment and finding the right equipment. It was something that we could really offer some value to our clients. So from here, this is where I basically where I finished up in Australia, was with my business there.
Can you talk about what Oryx's specific services are?
Our specific services would be finding the right tools for the job, for your project. Earth moving equipment, specialised pipeline equipment, anything to do with your projects, whether it be an underground infrastructure project, cable, sewer, water, drainage, power cables, anything like that. This is the type of equipment that we have a lot of experience in, and we've got a lot of connections all over the world. We then go over and we can inspect the equipment for you. We can give you a detailed report on what we find. We can give you all the photographs, the videos, and so on and so forth that you need to make an executive decision on whether that piece of equipment is right for you or not. We come to people's projects to have what I call a helicopter view. We come and look at your project without having any background knowledge of your particular project or the field that you're in. We will have a look at it and see where we believe that you can either add some specialised machinery to fix some of the problems on a job site, or accelerate it, or remove the waste from jobs. We'll also look at methodology. We'll come in and try and pull the crews together and bring you to that point where the job, what I like to say, it's humming. The job is pumping along, you're reaching your project targets. Advice is another area that we really help some of our customers all over the world. We've got people just asking at the moment about trenches. They've never had them in their workforce before. So they just want to get some background information, some background knowledge, types of production rates, the type of maintenance that they're going to need to do on this machinery, anything, any kind of advice, equipment sourcing, maintenance. That's another area we can offer a lot to our customers, is with preventative maintenance, especially coming to your job site, training your field staff in the best way to maintain your equipment, giving your project the best possible outcome that you can.
Who can use our services?
Oh, I would like to say that anyone in the underground infrastructure space, pipelines, cable, fibre optic, anything in this realm can use our services. When it comes to machinery, whether it be mining, whether it be pipelines, whether it be construction, I've even over the years I've looked at vessels. I've been to inspect barges for companies. We've been to inspect crushing plants over in Canada. If you use machinery to do your jobs, we can help you.
How do you think that Oryx's services add value?
I believe the serious nature of where we get down into the nuts and bolts of everything is that we have been on both sides of the fence. Yes, we represent companies that sell machinery, but we started out in the field. I started out at the lowest common denominator that you could ask for in the maintenance side of cross-country pipelines. From here, this is what I believe gives the best value to our customers. We've been in the field, we know the issues, we know the problems. Chances are we've come across all of the problems that you may be experiencing before, and this is where we can add value. We're not just saying, hey, buy this machine, we think it's really nice, it's really good. We come from a perspective that we've been there, we've done it, we know the problems that you're going through, and we want to help. So while we add value to all sectors, or across many sectors, I probably should say, of your production, your projects, I really think the biggest value that we can add is because we have been there and done it before. We are not just people just trying to sell a service that we have no idea or we have no experience in.
So is that why you think we're different? What sets what we do apart?
It is, Lindsay. Yeah, that's the biggest reason that we are different to anyone else that in the area that we like to cover. We've been there, we've been in the trenches, we know what it's like to support these kinds of projects, and we've been on both sides of the projects too. I've been on some absolutely fantastic jobs. I've got project managers that I hold to the highest of standards because they just truly are the best that I've ever worked with. I've also got project managers that I just have absolutely and utterly no time for at all. They are a disaster from the start to the finish, and unfortunately when you have someone like that at the helm, some people don't like to hear what we have to say sometimes. So we won't win every battle, but I honestly think that's where that really sets us apart. We have been there, we've been in the trenches, we've been on good projects where it has won right, with the right people making the right calls, and we've been on some terrible ones too.
So can you talk about how far you travel, or just the crazy lengths you've gone to help a customer?
Like I said before, 36 different countries I think the count is up to. I kind of lose count these days because there literally are so many places that we go to. One of the craziest ones I ever did was a trip to China to find some specialised equipment. This was literally one of those John Candy movies, planes, trains and automobiles. From getting the express visa at the embassy in Perth, Western Australia, I was travelling for about a day and a half. Got to the workshop where this particular equipment was manufactured, did a deal immediately once I saw the equipment, bought I think it was 12 or 16 units. Back on the motorcar, plane, magnetic train that did over 400 kilometres an hour. And then I got 5 hours in a hotel to eat, shower, try and get some sleep, and then it was back on the planes, 3 planes back to Australia. It was a crazy, crazy visit. I would have been at the shop for no more than 3.5 to 4 hours, and yeah, it was pretty intense. Probably without a doubt, the nicest place I've ever been to, with the friendliest people, would have been Finland. That place was absolutely amazing. I cannot wait to go back to Finland. It was a very, very long journey. There was 4 very long flights to get there. I landed after almost 43 or 44 hours of travel with no suitcase, and I was only to be there for 2 days. So luckily the suitcase arrived on the day that I flew back out, so I could bring it back with me. We've been to remote places in Canada where they speak absolutely no English at all, to some mines up there to look at equipment. Look, there's still many places that I have not been to. I've never been to the continent of Africa, and I've never been to Central or South America yet, and I'm really looking forward to those areas. Many more places within Asia that I want to get to. Probably the most dangerous that I've ever been to was Karachi in Pakistan. 2005, it was the training ground for the Taliban at the time. And because I had a big mouth and there was a lot of problems with the project I was looking after actually here within the United Arab Emirates, I got the wonderful task of going to Karachi to find people that could actually do the job that we were asking them to do. So long story short, we found those right people, we fixed the problems on the job site, but it was a pretty nerve-wracking time. There was a shooting on a bus that was probably about 200 metres, if that, away from me, where I was quickly shuffled into the car and exited away. Again, me and my big mouth, Mr. Chris, do you want security when you go there? No, I don't need security. Well, once I got there, I certainly wished that I did say yes to that, and I wasn't so proud. But anyway, I survived it, I got out, and I met some good people while I was over there. I really did. I won't say it was a bad place. It was just it wasn't the safest of places at the time. There was 3 security checks, including a bomb check on the motor vehicle before we actually got into the hotel, and x-ray on the suitcases and everything. So yeah, interesting times, but that's what travel is really about.
I thought the New Zealand one last year at this time was pretty crazy.
That was crazy, but it was only 2 planes. That was from the USA where I was doing work. A very good customer of ours. It was actually the owner of a mining company. His own personal property had an issue with some equipment that they'd bought. They weren't getting the right answers from the people that they had bought it from. So I had to change all of my flights in the USA, make a quick dash to the South Island of New Zealand and inspect the equipment to the point where I couldn't fix the problem. The equipment needed to go into a shop, and it had some pretty serious work. And I turned around after a day and a half and flew back to the United States to get back into what I was originally doing over there. It was a pretty crazy trip, yeah. But the China one, without a doubt, was 4 aircraft, 2 different vehicles, and 1 train just to get there, and then that in reverse coming back.
Talk about the new equipment manufacturers that Oryx represents.
Okay, Oryx Consulting I'll start with Slingers. We represent CAS, Conveyor Application Systems, out of Eugene, Oregon in the USA. I'm sure you've probably, if you follow along with any of our social media, you'll know that we're avid, we're passionate about these slingers because they do bring so much value to just about any construction project I've ever been involved in. We represent them here throughout the whole of the Middle East region, and we help them globally with any of their large projects that they ever get involved with. And that we assist companies like World Poly equipment, which fabricates some or manufactures some amazing HDPE welding equipment. These guys are based in Melbourne, Australia. I was lucky enough to work with their team some years ago now, and I was there as a project manager to bring their team together because they had an extremely tight deadline to meet. So we helped that team come together, bring it in ahead of time, only just, and it was wonderful. But we helped them over here throughout the Middle East region again, putting their products out into the marketplace and any kind of support that they need while we are over here. We also help Buckeye Trenches out of USA. Jason and the team there, we absolutely fell in love with these bucket wheel trenches. I think they are absolutely fantastic, and in particular they're rubber tired, however you like to call them. High mobility, really good looking production rates out of them, and they're a really well built machine from everything that I have seen. We're helping Jason and the team there get their name out throughout here in the Middle East because I see these trenches as offering so much value in the types of conditions that we have here with the large amounts of sand and the large pipeline projects that are over here as well. I really think that they'll add some value. So we are the agents for CAS, and we assist World Poly with their equipment, and we assist Buckeye Trenches.
So how did you get the idea for Oryx Consulting?
Oryx Consulting was conceived after a lot of anger, is probably the best way of describing it. Having started my own business in Australia in 2008, as with anyone in business, I had the highs, the lows, the highs, the lows. But one thing was very, very common within Australia. The common factor was it is not a good environment for small to medium businesses. We turned over a lot of money, and I'm not going to say that I was faultless or blameless. I'm just giving it to you as candid as I can. When you turn money over, that's all you are doing, is turning money over. Every step of the way in Australia, someone has their hand out. Take. And the way I like to describe it, when you're earning money in one hand but you're paying money out in two hands, there's a fundamental problem. There was a downturn that came. I had some very high equipment costs, repayments. So I decided to send everything to an auction. I sold everything up. I spun my wheels for probably full time for about 12 months, and then I made the call that I was going to sell everything up, and I was going to come to a country that actually wanted you to come and do business within their four walls. I had worked over in the Middle East before. I had worked in the Emirates, and I really enjoyed working over here. It's a different climate, it's a different culture and that, but from a business perspective, extremely welcoming, and from what I remembered at the time, it was a great place to do business. You could get on and do your job. So I made some investigations, and I looked into opening a business over here. A long story, very, very short, that's exactly what we did. And throughout the process of doing it all, we found that it ticked so many boxes. From geographically, we were from what we like to call the centre of the world. In Australia, every time that I went anywhere overseas to look at machinery for people, it was always two planes. From here, and Dubai International being literally 1 hour down the road from where we are here, opened up the world. We're direct flights everywhere in the USA, Europe, direct flights to Asia, direct flights to Australia. It's a fantastic geographical location. The people, the Emirati people, are the nicest salt of the earth people that you will ever meet in your life, and that's the honest truth. They are so lovely, so welcoming. Difficult to do business with at times, but that's part of the fun. That's part of the that's part of what networking and building your reputation in an area is all about. It's not always about the good times. It's about how do we overcome this particular issue here? How can we add value to you? How can we make you understand that we're not here to rip you off? We're actually here to help you. We want to help you, and we want to see you succeed. Dealing with government departments is literally dealing with government departments. That's never easy anywhere in the world. So it's no different over here to anywhere else, apart from they really smile at you when they don't know what they're talking at over here, which kind of makes it a little bit more bearable. And that's where Oryx Consulting basically came from, was a want to help our customers better, but to also be in a business environment that will want you and will make you feel welcome and won't have the two hands out all the time, take. So through that, we found that there's so much more opportunity over here. There's so much more added value of being in this part of the world for us. So that's in a nutshell. That's where it's all. That's why Oryx Consulting has come about, and thoroughly enjoyed the move that we've made and the decision to start Oryx Consulting, and it's really starting to pay off at the moment. It's a great part of the world to live. And there's some absolutely wonderful people over here as well. All right, guys, I hope you've enjoyed that, and I hope that gives you a lot of insight into not only myself, but Oryx Consulting, who we can help, but more importantly, how we can add value to your projects. Our motto, again, help you build a better project. It's our motto, it's what we live by, it's our passion. We want to see your project succeed. We want to help you build a faster project with more money in your back pocket, or whether that's helping you pull your team together, or whether that's finding the right piece of equipment, we're here to help. So thanks again, guys. I hope this has added value, and thanks for listening.